Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. In this video, I will explain on how to prepare cost estimation for building works, specifically concrete works. So, hopefully at the end of the session, students are able to identify major elements and estimate total cost of building and civil engineering works, and prepare the cost estimation by considering these three types of resources, which are manpower, machineries, and also the materials for building works and civil engineering works. When we talk about resources, manpower, this can be classified into two categories, which are skilled labor and unskilled labor. So, in terms of costing, the salary between these two categories of workers is different depending on their ability. So in general, a skilled labor, normally the salary is higher compared to unskilled labor. So for machineries or equipment, okay, there are two um, types of costs which need to be calculated, whereby the first one is owning cost and the second one is the operating cost. So operating cost. So basically, under owning cost, it has the sub element of costs that you need to take into consideration. And under operating costs as well, there are several types of costs which need to be included while calculating the operating costs. Right? So for materials, okay, it's depending on scope of work. So in this context of discussion, we are focusing on the concrete. Okay, so basically concrete, we know that it will be formed or can be produced by mixing these three main ingredients or materials, which are cement, sand, and also the aggregate. Right? So we will look in details on this particular section on the following slide. Right. Let's look these materials and labor constant. So if let's say there is no information or details of any constant given in the question, okay, so in assisting your preparation of uh, cost estimation, you can refer to this materials and labor constant. Basically, this will be attached in the appendix of your question. Alright, so for the concrete mixing, okay, so basically the operation of concrete mixing can be conducted with two approaches. The first one is by using the machineries or equipment, and the second one you can mix it manually. So we will look at the first part, which if let's say the concrete is being mixed by using the equipment or namely the concrete mixer. Okay, so by using equipment. So let's look the output, the, the fuel and the tools as well as the labor. Right. So to produce 2.5 cubic meter of concrete in an hour, okay, the labor required for that particular activities is 1 skilled labor and 4 unskilled labor. Right? So that is the constant. And for the fuel and tools, okay, to operate the concrete mixer, it's required 10 liter we sell in 1 day. Okay, and for lubricating oil, it's required 1/5 liter per day. So we know that the standard working hours in 1 day is 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 8 hours. So that is the basic constant that we have to remember. Alright. Okay. So we look the statement in this remark column, right? So given here allowance for consolidating, okay, 1/8 hours per cubic meter. Basically, when you mix the concrete, okay, you need to ensure that the concrete is being compacted well, so that it will not affect the end of the fresh concrete product, which is the hard concrete lah. Right. So the consolidation is required normally one unskilled labor, and the duration or time taken for the workers to consolidate or to compact this we call it the concrete is 1/8 hours per cubic meter. Right. So for cement, this is one ingredients, the main ingredients in the concrete. Okay. So the quantities basically it's been sell on the market in bag. So the conversion is 1 cubic meter of cement is equivalent to 28 bags of cement. Okay, so one also standard you need to remember as well. Okay, so the concrete mix in general there are few. So here is stated two types of concrete mix, which is 1 to 2 to 4 and 1 to 3 to 6. So you need to know what is one portion, 1 for what materials, 2 for what materials, and 4 is for what materials. So basically, so 1 portion is for cement, 2 portion is for sand, and 4 portion for the aggregate. Is CSA. Same goes to this concrete mix 1 to 3 to 6. Okay, 1 portion for cement, 3 portion for sand, and 6 portion for the aggregate. So I will explain in detail, okay, what it's meant by allow 50% shrinkage for the concrete mix, depending on the ratio of the materials, right? So for average working days of machine in a year, okay, we take this constant, which is 200 days per year. So this one is maintenance and repair cost 1/10 of cost of machine, transportation cost 1/20 of cost of machine. So mainly we will consider this once we calculating the owning cost of the machine. Alright. So basically this is the process of consolidation. Okay. The unskilled labor will use the vibrator to consolidate the concrete during the concrete pouring, right? Okay, so consolidating or compaction. Okay. So this is how the concrete mixers look like. So this equipment, okay, need to calculate the equipment cost by including the owning cost as well as the overhead cost. So as you can see here, there are a team of workers, including the skilled and unskilled labor. Okay, they will put the sand, the aggregate, the cement inside the concrete mixer and pour with the water. Then mix to produce the fresh concrete. Right? So basically, these are the main ingredients of the concrete: cement, sand, as well as the aggregate. Alright, so to prepare the cost estimation for concrete work, I will explain based on this example. Alright, so let us pay attention on this example. Okay, so based on the following data, if the cost of transporting concrete to the formwork is negligible and ignore the portion of formwork, to compute for 1 meter square of 250 mm thick, 1 to 3 to 6 concrete slabs. Okay, so question number 1, the cost of slab if the cost of slab if mixing is done by concrete mixer. So 10/7 is the model of the concrete mixer. We will not have anything to do with the calculation. Okay, just the model of the equipment. Okay. Second question, the cost of slab if mixing is done by hand, which is manually. So we will look into. So we need to say that there will no equipment or concrete mixer used to mix the concrete. Okay, and we will look into how to calculate the quantity of materials required for preparing the concrete. So basically the materials is cement, sand, as well as the aggregate, right? So this is the price for the materials. The aggregate 15 ringgit per cubic meter. So cement, the price in is per bag, so 11 ringgit per bag. Sand, 6 ringgit per cubic meter. So the price of the diesel, 2 ringgit per liter. Lubricating oil is 15 ringgit per liter. So given here the constant of the labor, the cost, okay, the wages or the salary for the labor skilled workers is 50 ringgit per day, unskilled worker is 25 ringgit per day. So if let's say I ask you to convert the rate from per day to per hour, can you do that? Okay, so how? So basically, if you want to convert, okay, as we know that the standard working hours in a day is 8 hours. So basically, we just divided this 50 ringgit, okay, by 8 hours. So standard working hours in a day is 8 hours. So you will get 6 ringgit and 25 cents. Alright. So moving to the data for the concrete mixer, given the initial cost of the concrete mixer is 25,000, the interest rate is 10% per year. So the lifespan of the concrete mixer is 5 years. The resale value or salvage value is 2,000 ringgit. So basically, resale value is the amount of money that can be that the owner can get if, let's say, at the end of the lifespan of the equipment, the owner want to sell the, what we call it, the machine. So the value that they can get is 2,000. Okay, So we will look into the implication of this resale value in our calculation later on. Right? So in order to operate the concrete mixer, is stated here, okay, we need a gang of 1 skilled labor and 4 unskilled labor. Okay, the constant for the diesel, lubricating oil, and also the output of machine is stated in the question. So you just only use the information or the data which has been included in the question. Right. So let's look at the solution. Okay. So first question, okay, we want to calculate the cost of slab if mixing is done by concrete mixer. So concrete mixer means to say that we have an equipment. So we need to calculate the equipment cost. Okay, so like I mentioned previously, okay, so under equipment cost, so to get the mixing cost by using the equipment, you need to calculate the owning cost and also the operating cost. Okay, so we will look one by one here. Alright, so under owning cost, you need to include this cost of mixer. The initial cost to purchase this equipment or the mixer is 25,000. Okay, so there is an interest. Okay, per year is 10% over the initial cost, and the interest is effective throughout the lifespan of the machine, which is 5 years. Okay, so the interest for the 5 years duration is 12,500 ringgit. Okay, so under owning cost also we need to include the repair and maintenance cost as well as the transportation cost to the site, the transportation cost. So where we get this value, okay, the constant. So where we get this. So basically this is referred from the table, okay, constant table. So you can see here in the table, okay, the maintenance cost is 1 over 10 of cost of machine, and transportation cost is 1 over 20 of cost of the machine. So you need to include in your calculation. Alright, so get the value 2,500 for preparing cost and 1,250 ringgit for the transportation cost. Alright, so we total up this uh, component, okay, and you will get the total cost is 41,250 ringgit. However, in this question, okay, there is salvage value. Okay, salvage value. Okay. So like I mentioned just now, at the end of the machine lifespan, okay, if you, if the owner want to let go the mixer, the price that they will get is this amount, which is 2,000. So you will get, okay, this is the amount that you get. But for the purchasing, so to own this concrete mixer, they need to spend. Okay, so that's why we need to minus this value of salvage value. Okay, thus, we get the total, the absolute total owning cost for the machine, which is 39,250 ringgit over 5 years. Okay, over 5 years. So you need to convert this cost, the owning cost, per day. So once you want to convert, you need to take into consideration the constant. Okay, so we know that 39,250 ringgit over 5 years. Okay, so we know that in 1 year, the standard working hour for the machine, sorry, the standard working days of a machine is 200 days. So by referring to this constant in the table, we will use it. Okay, so that's why you put here the 200 days. So you solve and you will get the value or the cost of owning mixer per day is 39 ringgit and 25 cent. Okay, unit per day. Alright. So moving to the operating costs or the operation costs. Okay. So stated in the question here, a gang of 1 skilled labor and 4 unskilled labor is required. Okay, so 1 skilled labor, 4 unskilled labor. Okay, so you need to calculate the, the labor cost, right? So the rate for the skilled labor is 50 ringgit per day. The rate for unskilled labor is 25 ringgit per day. So you get 50 ringgit here, you get 100 ringgit here. Okay, in order to operate the mixer, the mixer required 10 liter diesel per day. So still the unit is per day. Okay, 10 liter per day times the price per liter is 2 ringgit. So 20 ringgit per day is being allocated for the diesel. And for the lubricating oil is 15 ringgit per liter. So multiply with the constant 1 over 5 or 0.2, you will get 3 ringgit per day. Thus, cost of operating mixer per day is 173 ringgit. Once we total up all these components. Okay, right. So, owning cost of a day and operating cost of a day. So, thus you can calculate the mixing cost per day by total up the owning cost and also the operating cost. So you will get the mixing cost, concrete mixing cost per day is 212 ringgit 25 cents, right? Per day. But we want to know the mixing cost per cubic meter, per quantity. Okay, so here the output of the mixer is played the roles. Okay, you know that from the data given in the question, output of machine is 2.5 cubic meter per hour, right? So we use this constant. Output of mixer per day 2.5 cubic meter per hour. Okay, so we want to get the value per day. Okay, the in 1 day, what is the quantity of the we know that one standard the standard working hours in a day is 8 hours. So that's why we multiply with it, we get 20 cubic meter per day. Right? The output per day. Thus, we can calculate the mixing cost of 1 cubic meter of concrete by calculating or by dividing the mixing cost per day with the output per day. So you will get 10 ringgit and 61 cent per cubic meter for mixing cost. Right. So here calculate the cost of equipment that we will use to mix the concrete. Alright, so moving to the next one, we will look into how to calculate the material cost. Okay, so in this question, the 3 to 6, okay, 1 to 3 to 6. Alright, so 1, 2, 3 to 6. So like I mentioned earlier, you need to know what is one portion is for what materials, 3 portion is for what types of materials, and 6 is for what types of materials. So we take this as an acronym to remember CSA. So say that one portion or 1 cubic meter is for the cement. And the second one, the 3 portion or the 3 cubic meter is for the sand, and 6 is for the aggregate. Right? Aggregate. Okay. So we want to calculate the cost of each material. So the price is being given in the question. So for cement, like I mentioned also, okay, the price has been given per bag. So we know that from the constant, 1 cubic meter is equivalent to 28 bags. So 28 bags times RM11 ringgit per bag, so you will get this value. Okay, for the sand, 3 cubic meter of sand, price per cubic meter is 6 ringgit, so you will get 18 ringgit. And for aggregate, 6 cubic meter of aggregate and price per cubic meter of the aggregate is 15 ringgit up. Basically, if arithmetically, once you total up 1 plus 3 plus 6, you will get 10 cubic meter of materials. Therefore, the total price of the materials is 416 ringgit. However, we need to remember the fresh concrete properties. Okay? Once this 3 material is being mixed with water, okay, it will be shrink. Okay, shrink 50%. Okay, 50% shrink. Meaning to say that instead of having 10 cubic meter, by considering the shrinkage, we only get 5 cubic meter. Okay, 5 cubic meter. So that's why we need to allow another 50% shrinkage to ensure that the total materials that we get is 10 cubic meter. So that's why we allow for 15% of shrinkage. So to add up another 5 cubic meter. Okay, so here, okay, we take the amount of the cost. Okay, so we take 50% of the total cost here, 450. So we get 200 8 ringgit. So once you total this value 415 plus shrinkage value 208 ringgit. So here you will get the actual 10 cubic meter of 1 to 3 to 6 concrete, which the price is 624 ringgit. Okay, so this is over, the price is per 10 cubic meter, is for 10 cubic meters of material. So in order for you to get the price per cubic meter, okay, so you need to divide 624 ringgit with 10 cubic meter. Okay, so you will get the value is the value of concrete. The cost of 1 cubic meter of concrete is 62 ringgit and 40 cents. Right. Okay. Next, it is required to do compaction for the concrete so that the concrete will spread well. Okay, so under material costs need to include the labor cost for consolidation or for the compaction. So the constant here to refer is this part. From the table, we know that the allowance for consolidating required uh, one unskilled labor, and the time taken is 1 over 8 hours per cubic meter. Okay, so this is the constant that we will consider. Alright, so we take this as 1 over 8 hour per cubic meter. Duration to complete or to do the consolidation per cubic meter is 1 over 8 hours. So labor required is unskilled labor. So the salary or the wages of the unskilled labor is 25 ringgit per day. So per 8 hours. Okay, so convert the rate into hour. Okay, so you will get the labor cost for consolidation is 39 cents. Therefore, the cost of material for 1 cubic meter of concrete with ratio 1 to 3 to 6 is 62 ringgit and 79 cents. Okay, so this is cost per cubic meter. Okay, right, the material cost. Okay. To get the overall cost of the concrete which mixed by using the mixer, okay, you need to combine these two costs, which is cost of mixing, which this cost we already calculated earlier, okay, in this section, this one over cubic meter, okay, per cubic meter, and the material cost per cubic meter. Okay, thus the total or the cost of the concrete mixed by mixer per cubic meter is 73 ringgit and 40 cents. Alright, okay. In this question, okay, we need to identify the volume of concrete, okay, required for the slab structure. Okay, so given the dimension as the area, okay, the area The slab is 1 meter, 1 meter with thickness of 0.25. Okay, so this is the volume for this particular question. Okay, so basically, in order to answer the question, okay, cost of 1 cubic meter, the cost of 1 meter square of 250 thick, 1 to 3 to 6 concrete slab mixed by mixer is, okay, so the price per cubic meter times the volume required, okay, this one divided is 0.25 cubic meter. So you multiply the value, then you will get this, 18 ringgit 55 cent. Okay, so this solution is to answer question 1. Okay, question 1, which is the cost of slab if mixing is done by concrete mixer for the slab with this dimension. Alright, so next we want to calculate the cost of slab if mixing is done manually. Okay, we need to see that without, okay, machine, without machine, okay, without equipment. Okay, so without equipment. So the only cost that need to be considered here is material cost and the labor cost. Okay, so we look how to calculate. Okay. So given the constant here or the information here is the cost of slab if mixing is done by hand. Okay, labor constant of unskilled worker for mixing by hand is 5 hours per cubic meter. So basically, this constant, if in the past year question, you can get from the appendix. So you see here, okay, if let's say the concrete is mixed manually, so this is the constant. One unskilled labor is required. Okay, so 5 hours is needed to mix 1 cubic meter of the concrete. So back to the question, so we look into how to calculate the labor cost. So the labor cost, one unskilled labor required 5 hours to mix 1 cubic meter of concrete. So the time consumption is 5 hours. Okay, 5 hours. And the rate of salary for the unskilled labor is 25 ringgit over 8 hours. So you will get the labor cost is 78 ringgit and, sorry, yeah, 15 ringgit and 63 cent. Okay, all right. So okay, this one. So thus here you see cost of 1 cubic meter of 1 to 3 to 6 concrete mixed by hand is the combination of labor cost and also the material cost. So the material cost, the calculation is same with this section, the material cost. So we already calculate the cost, which is 73 we get a 40 cent per cubic meter. 73 3 ringgit. Okay. So you total, sorry, not 73 ringgit 40 cents. It is the material cost is this one. 62 ringgit 79 cent. This one is 62 ringgit 79 cent. Okay, so here the material cost 62 ringgit 79 cent. The labor cost is 15 ringgit 63 cent. So the total cost of concrete per cubic meter, the cost of concrete mixed by hand per cubic meter is 78 ringgit and 42 cents. Okay, so this is the sum up, the sum up. Okay. Okay. Thus, we know that the volume required for the slab is 0.25 cubic meters. So you multiply with the cost per cubic meter. Okay, mixed by hand. So you will get the cost of the concrete slab is 19 ringgit 61 cent. Okay, right. So by having this value, we have answered the question number 2. So moving to the next question. Okay, material required. Okay, so here we want to calculate the quantity of each materials, the cement, the sand, and also the aggregate. We know the ratio. Okay, 1 to 3 to 6. The total volume of the concrete is 10. So the volume of the slab is 0.25 cubic meter. Multiply with this constant, which is 100% the initial quantity plus 50% the shrinkage. Okay, because we take into consideration the shrinkage mechanism, okay, phenomena. Okay, thus 150%. So that's why we multiply with 1.5 over here. So when you total up, you will get the volume or the quantity of the aggregate, okay, which is 0.225, and for sand it is 0.1125 cubic meter of sand, and for cement, okay, either you get per cubic meter, I mean you get the volume in cubic meter that you can convert into bags by referring to the constant. 1 cubic meter is equivalent to 28 bags. Alright, so I think we already complete answering all these 3 questions in this example. So to enhance your understanding on this particular topic, okay, you please answer the exercise or the questions stated in this slide. Okay, so March 2015 question number 4. Okay, so please answer the question. If let's say you have any question, you can ask me later. So that I thank you.